The backdrop to the attack on the Regency Hotel was a boxing weigh-in for an event co-promoted by MGM, which ran a Spanish gym linked to the Kinahans. An attack team of 6, including a driver, arrived in a silver Ford Transit van around 2:30 in the afternoon. A young man disguised as a woman in a blonde wig ran in with a second middle-aged man in a flat cap. Firing handguns, they sent people fleeing in panic. Moments later, 3 masked gunmen in tactical gear with AK-47 assault rifles ran in. Some people initially believed they were ERU Gardaí, but they immediately opened fire, escalating the panic. David Byrne was among those fleeing into the lobby, and he was shot by 2 of the tactical team. The second shooter jumped to the reception counter to stand, and calmly and coldly fire more rounds into Byrne's prone body. All 5 returned to the waiting van, which drove them away. They abandoned it in the Charlemont estate, set it alight, and ran down Charlemont Lane to St Vincent's GAA Club grounds, where a convoy of waiting vehicles transported them from the scene. Prosecutor Sean Gallan SC said it was clear the attackers had been looking for particular people in the execution-style killing. Gardaí discovered a bedroom had been booked by ex-Sinn Féin councillor Jonathan Dowdall's father Patrick the day before the shooting. Kevin Murray used the room before leaving the hotel the next morning, carrying a hold-all bag. Murray was quickly identified as the raider in the flat cap, but he died from an illness before he could be prosecuted. Jonathan Dowdall was already being watched by Gardaí for suspected links with dissident Republicans. Intelligence suggested Dowdall travelled to Derry to meet real IRA members on January 5th, 2016, and returned to Derry on January 18th, this time with Gerry Hutch. On February 11, 2016, Dowdall and his father were back in Northern Ireland for a suspected meeting with Continuity IRA. The next day, Gerry Hutch called to Dowdall's Dublin home, and Gardaí suspect this was to organised criminal activity, possibly related to the murder. A Garda covert tracking device was on Dowdall's Toyota Land Cruiser Jeep on February 20th, 2016, when he drove Mr Hutch to the Donegal home of IRA member Shane Rowan. On March 7, 2016, Dowdall and Mr Hutch drove to Strabane, County Tyrone, in a bid to get Republicans to mediate in the escalating feud with the Kinahans. This time, Gardaí had also installed a separate audio device inside the Jeep. 10-hour recording from that journey was at the core of the case against Mr Hutch. The trip came a month after Gerry Hutch's brother Edward, or Neddy Hutch, had been murdered in a reprisal for the Regency attack. It was believed that Gerry Hutch was trying to get Republicans to broker a peace deal with the Kinahans amid fears of a further escalation of the feud. Of particular interest to the investigators was Mr Hutch's talk of 3 yokes and giving them as a present to the Republicans in the north. According to the prosecution, this refers to the assault rifles used by the Regency attackers. 2 days later, on March 9, 2016, the IRA man Shane Rowan made a trip south to Dublin, and he was seen driving around various locations in the Malahide Road area in a Vauxhall Insignia. A Garda surveillance operation was in place as he met Patsy Hutch, Gerry's brother, who was seen driving him in a Toyota Yaris. Rowan was intercepted driving north again, outside Slane, County Meath, with 3 AK-47s that had been used in the Regency attack in the boot of his Insignia. Around 70 minutes later, at 8:22 p.m, Gardaí searched Dowdall's Navan Road home on suspicion he was storing firearms and explosives, though neither was found. During the search of his home, Gardaí did discover evidence of a separate crime, a video of Dowdall torturing a suspected fraudster in his garage. He was jailed for that and was still in prison on April 27, 2021, when he was charged with the Regency murder. Before the sentence ended, he came forward with new information about David Byrne's killing. Just weeks before the Regency trial, Dowdall and his father Patrick both pleaded guilty to facilitating the murder by making a hotel room available for the raiders the day before. Dowdall was jailed for a further 4 years and his father for 2. The murder charge against Dowdall was dropped, and he dramatically turned state's witness against Mr Hutch. Dowdall's Garda statement and testimony to the trial featured 2 main allegations. One was that Gerry Hutch met him in Ellenfield Park in Whitehall days after the Regency shooting and confessed that he and Mago Gately had shot David Byrne. The other main allegation was about the hotel room keys. Dowdall maintained Patsy Hutch had called his father to ask him to book the room for a friend. He said the arrangement was to bring the keys to Patsy, but when he drove his father to the meeting point at Richmond Road, Drumcondra, it was Gerry Hutch who turned up and collected them. In evidence, Dowdall also backed up the prosecution's assertion that the yokes being discussed on the tapes were the Regency AK-47s. Dowdall denied defence assertions that he was lying. The only other person to go on trial over the Regency shooting was Patrick Hutch Jr., Patsy's son. Patrick Hutch had been allegedly identified as the gunman dressed as a woman and charged with the murder and possession of firearms. However, he walked free from court in 2019 after charges against him were dropped by the state.